everybody. My name is Jonathan Portillo, and I am the host and creator of the To Be Men podcast. Welcome to our very first episode. I'm glad that you're here, and I hope that you stick around for the long run, right? I hope that when the 100th episode comes out, it's still you watching and your friends and everybody else in your community that you've invited to be a part of what we're doing here. Hey, listen, I just want to take some time today and introduce the podcast, right? This won't be too long. This will be a short quickie, just to let you guys know who we are, who I am, what I'm doing, what we're talking about, what the problem is that we're solving, all of it. Just give you an inside look into what's happening here at To Be Men. So, man, where to begin, right? Actually, it starts here. This is what started everything. Man, The Dude's Guide to Manhood by Darren Patrick. This book probably started the journey that I'm on now 10 years ago. 10 years ago. Great book, awesome stuff. If you haven't read it, I highly, highly recommend it. Talks about different areas of life and manhood and being a man. But it wasn't so much the book that impacted me. It was the need for the book that impacted me. I remember my wife and I, we'd been married for about a year, and we went to, oh, by the way, those of you guys that are on audio, Dude's Guide to Manhood. I know, I said it, but just in case you missed it, Dude's Guide to Manhood. Anyways, my wife and I, we'd been married for about a year, and we went to this marriage conference. And, a lot of it was based around what it means to be a good couple and communication and finances and all these great topics that are required for a solid marriage. But when we had breakout sessions, it seemed like everything was towards the women, and they had all the different resources and all the different books and all the different videos and everything for the women. But for the men, the only thing that was really there was this Dude's Guide to Manhood. And it stood out to me, one, because the dude's got glasses and a beard on the cover, and I've got glasses and a beard. So I was like, I identify with this book. But it drew me in. It drew me in because I realized I have no idea what it means to be a man. I don't know, right? At this point, I'm 23 years old, and I'm still figuring it out, right? I'm still a young boy, and I'm still, by the world's standards, I'm a young man. But in my heart, I'm still a young boy. I'm a big adult boy, and I'm figuring out what it means to be a man. And so I buy the book, and I read it, and that's that. Fast forward 10 years later, I'm not any closer. I mean, I am. Obviously, I've grown, and I've learned so much. And yet there's still parts of my life where I'm like, well, what does it mean to be a man here? Right? I just became a father a little bit over a year ago. So now it's a whole new dynamic. What does it mean to be a man in the role of a father? I have a daughter. So, okay, what does it mean to be a man in the role of a girl dad? And so in every season of life, I've learned new things, and I've had more questions, and I've walked into new seasons of life and new areas of life. I'm like, okay, I think I've got to figure it out here, but I'm still learning in this area, and I'm still learning on this side. And so when I was thinking it through, I said, I can't be the only one. I can't be the only guy who's trying to figure out what it means to be a man, what it means to be a strong, good, righteous man. And so I said, you know what? Let me get up a mic. Let me set up a camera and a mic, and let me talk to some people. Let me see who else out there wants to learn what it means to be a man, to be a strong, righteous man. And so that's what this came from. That's what this podcast was born from a lack of maybe identity in my manhood, a lack of direction. And not only in me, but I see it time and time again in young guys that I interact with, whether it's, at church or at work or on the range or wherever I may be. I keep running into young men that are like, well, I'm just figuring it out. My dad wasn't in the picture, or I don't have very many examples, and so I'm just figuring it out. And that was very much myself too. I had to figure it out. My dad was in the picture financially, but that was about it. So when it became time to become a man, I don't know what it meant other than, okay, well, you have to provide for the family, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate my dad for that. We never lacked anything. We had everything we needed and then some. But there's so much more. There's so much more I've learned, as I've become a husband and a father and a friend. Man, there's so many other roles that we need to fill as men. And I feel like too many of us were raised without that example, without that truth, without that purpose. And so now we walk around lost and without direction, with no vision, with no passion, with no dedication to what's going on in the world. And so I was like, man, I gotta get this out there. I gotta talk to other guys and see what we can do together. Because listen, You may think it's not a big deal that men are lost and confused and without purpose and without direction, but it is. Man, I strongly believe that a lot of the world's problems are because we lack good, strong men. We lack good, strong men in positions of power, in positions of authority. We're led, whichever side of the aisle you land on, we can all agree that we've been led by weak men, quite frankly. And so we need strong men in different areas of life and different areas of authority that we can look up to and say, that's the example I want. That's the person I want to emulate. That's who I want my boys to be, to grow up and be. That's who I want my daughters to grow up and love and marry. Like, I want strong, righteous men in our communities. And so we need to solve that. We need to come together and say, okay, we see the problem. We see weak men, lost men, adult boys. That's a whole other topic that we'll talk about soon. How do we solve that? How do we fix the problem, right? We've all heard the quote, right? What is it? Strong men create good times create weak men create hard times, and hard times create strong men. And whether you agree with it or not, we can definitely say we've got some hard times, we've got some weak men. And so if we're going to make it out of these hard times, we need some strong, righteous men. And I'm not saying that's me. Like I said, I still don't know. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. But my desire is that we will grow and learn together, and that we can be the change that we want to see. We can be the men that can lead our country, the world, our families, our communities to a better place. And so, right, so what's the solution? Obviously, right, is strong men, but I think it's so much more than that. I think it's not just strong men, because strong men can be one guy, one individual, one guy isolated. No, I think we need a community of strong men. We need a tribe of strong men, a group that comes together and says, all right, I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to push you. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to make you grow because I want to grow. And so we're going to do this together, because there's only so far I can get by myself. There's only so much I can do by myself, but together, man, we can change the world. And so that's what I want. That's my desire, that together as men, we will grow stronger, we will grow better, and we will change the world to be a better place, right? I think, the more I think about it, the more I realize that this is a little selfish on my part. One, because, I want to learn, I want to grow, I want to be better. But on the other side, that now that I'm a dad, I'm like, man, if if the trajectory keeps going the way that it's going, and men 18 years from now are any worse off than they are now, my daughters are going to have slim pickings. And so I said, you know what? I need to make sure that I can have an impact now, so that when my daughters are ready to be married, to find good men, that they have a vast pool to pull from, because I was able to influence more and more young men. And so that trickles down. And so again, it's not just me, it's you and me together. Let's grow stronger, let's be better, and let's learn to be men. I can't wait to be a part of this with you guys. I'll see you on the next episode. Take care.